Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create a BruteForcing program using JavaScript. According to Wikipedia definition, BruteForce attack consists of an attacker submitting many passwords or passphrases with the hope of eventually guessing a combination correctly. The attacker systematically checks all possible passwords and passphrases until the correct one is found. So, in a more detailed way, how there's BruteForce works. It is pretty simple. So, a script sends to a targeted application a username and a password. The targeted application receives them and checks them, and then after checking them, it returns a response. An example of that response might be password valid or password invalid. With that response, the script or the program determine whether a password was successfully guessed or not. But as you will guess, BruteForcing password is not an easy task as it may sound. So basically what it means that the time of BruteForcing a password is directly proportional to the complexity of the password. And by complexity, I mean the length and the way that password or passphrase is formed or written. If it is a password which is very simple, it will be BruteForced and guessed in a matter of seconds. But if it is a long and complex password with special characters and numbers and capital letters and small letters, it will be hard, and it will even take up to 1 trillion years to BruteForce it and crack it with even the current computation power. Alright, so without taking too much time, let's try to create a program in JavaScript which we will use to BruteForce HTML pages by submitting a bunch of passwords in an input field. Alright, here I have a folder and it only contains one file, which is the HTML file, index.html. It is a very basic page with just one input field and one button and one paragraph to display the response of the application. Let's try to see how it looks in the browser. Alright, so as you can see, it is a pretty minimalistic form with just one input field, as I just said. So the first thing we want to know is to create a simple JavaScript function to check whether the enter password is correct or not. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me just save it and call it main.js. Alright, so the function is checking password, and let's just go ahead and write some code. input field is called pass. So to make things simple, let's just make our passwords digits. So for a password, let's just make it 845. And if the password is 845, let's go ahead and get response and write, oh yeah, let's just write welcome. Let's copy this. Oops. Else let's just write invalid. Alright, so we need to link our GS file with the HTML file. So let's just write this, and lastly let's put on click and call checking password. Okay. So let's go ahead and try to run this program. So if we put something like 1, 2, 3 or whatever, we'll see that we're getting the result, but it is just flashing. It is showing for just a couple of seconds and it disappears. And what we need to do to fix that, we can just put return and do return false. In this case, return false. Alright, so let's go ahead and try again. As we can see, the response is here and we get invalid because we entered 1, 2, 3. So let's try to enter 845. Welcome. Alright, so as we can see, the script or the function of checking whether the password is correct or not is just working properly. Alright, so what we need to do next is to create our script to try to BruteForce this form until it gets the real password or the real pin. So normally if we're not using the script and if someone just came to this page, he can try to BruteForce this password by just entering any number, and maybe he might start with 1 and check whether it is valid or not, and enters 2 now, 3 now. So as you can see, eventually, even though it will just take a very long time to guess or to get the correct password, he might eventually get it because he'll continue to increment until he or she reaches to 845. But as you might guess, that is not an efficient way of doing this. So let's try to create a script that will help us to automatically enter all those values in that text box. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new file and we're gonna call it BruteForce.js. Okay, so we can use a function here or we cannot use it, so let me just go ahead and not use it. Okay, let me first define a variable and give it the max value. So here, as our pin is 845, it is logical to put the max pin, to make the max pin greater than the current pin that we have there. So because we have 845, let's just make the max pin 1000. So let's create a for loop. Let's say for a pin equals to 0 pin, pin max pin and pin ++. Alright, so here we're just creating a loop to increment the pin that you're just entering. Element .id pass that value equals pin, and let's create another variable and call it result, and alright, so as you have seen, if we enter a password which is not the correct one, the form will just tell us that the password is invalid. So we know that this is working, and let's try to modify this a little bit. Let me just comment the document here, this one here, and put here return true and return false on the else statement and save it. Of course, because we did that, we will not get any messages when we enter a valid or a wrong password, but it will help us with the BruteForce script. So let's go ahead and do it. Alright, after getting the checking password function return the variable result, let's go ahead and create a new statement and say if result, if not result, let's just put this into console, do check-in, plus pin plus as pin incorrect. Okay, else do console log check-in plus pin plus as pin correct. Alright, here let's just try to get the element by ID response, the inner HTML equals string pin plus is correct. We just want to display to the page that we found that the pin is correct. Alright, so from here we break and we go out of this loop, and here let's just assume that the password is just outside the boundaries and we haven't found it. So to check that, let's just put if pin equals to max pin, and then we'll have to say that the password was not found. Okay. So as you can see here, we've written the full script to BruteForce the page that we created by trying all numbers from 0 to 1000 and checking the response to determine whether it should goes on with the attack or stop because the password has been found. So without taking too much time, let's go ahead and try the script. Let's save it and select all the cards and copy them and open the browser. You can even refresh it and right click, click on inspect and then console, and then paste all your code there and run it. So as you can see, they're just telling us that inner the HTML of null cannot be null. Okay, let's just fix that. Okay, we've misspelled response here, so let's just write response. Okay, clear the console and paste and run it. Alright, so as you can see, the password is found in just a couple of seconds, right? But let's go ahead and try to format it well, because the number is, let me just put this here to format it a little bit. Yeah. Right, let's go ahead and try again. Yeah, just paste. All right. So, yeah, let's clear the console part and paste check. All right. So as you can see, the password is just found in a couple of seconds, and this is very fast because JavaScript is directly interacting with the browser, so there is nothing in between. So like if this was something which is hosted, the script would just be sending the data in the form, and the form will directly send it to the server, and the server to the browser. So which means there is nothing between the browser and the server. So like this script is just really fast, because if you were just to use like Selenium used in Python, that would be slower than this, because there will be something else between the server and the browser. So to test the speed of this, let's just make the value here 10,000, just to test the speed of this script. Okay, let's try to refresh and paste it. So remember, the max pin here is 1,000, so let's just make it 10,000 and run the script. Alright, so as you can see, the pin has been found, and it has been a couple of seconds too, because it is just less than a minute. And probably the speed of the script was slowed down due to the program that I'm running to make this tutorial. So if you're not just running any heavy application on your computer, the script will be much faster than this. Alright, so as you can see, we've successfully made a script which can be used on any HTML page, of course without taking into consideration the capture mechanism that have been put in place to fight this kind of attack. But yeah, we've successfully done a script that can be used on HTML pages to BruteForce passwords using JavaScript. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.